top line and bottom line thinking in real estate ownership design. So when most homeowners or renters, they're buying their property, the first home, or whether it is somebody who's savvy and they are buying their investment property, they make it extremely simple to think about real estate. They do top line thinking, just the way Zillow, Redfin, and a lot of other websites do. What is top line thinking? And what does it help you do? Let's discuss that first. Top line thinking is the sum total of the mortgage payment, the property taxes, HOA, insurance, and maintenance. Most of these items are easily visible and you can calculate and you can put it together. What it does, or the benefit of doing the top line calculation, is you have to actually foot out the bill each month. And so if you're making, say, $10,000 and your top line thinking is showing you that you have to pay $6,000, that's not sustainable. And so that helps put brakes on the highest number that you go with. So what's the standard number that the lenders look at and allow you to get? The standard number that the lenders look at is about 43%. And this came very strongly into play. I mean, it has been in vogue for a few years now, but it came strongly into play after the 2009 to 2012 real estate crash. We got the quality mortgage norms, and in those norms, this 43% has come to stick in. Now, what is 43%? Principal, interest, taxes, taxes meaning property taxes, not your earned income taxes, HOA, and insurance. So if you look at all of these, you put them together. Not just that, if you have a car payment, or if you have student debt, or if you have any big credit card debt that you're paying interest on, that also gets considered. Actually, the lender just looks at your credit card payment each month, irrespective of whether you're just paying it every month without paying any interest on it, because they think that that's what you typically owe, right? So all of this needs to add up to 43% of your income. So if somebody is making $10,000 in income, the most that you can owe in terms of regular monthly payments is $4,300. And that's what is called as the debt to income ratio. Debt is that 4,300, principal, interest, mortgage, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, HOA, all put together, divided by your gross pre-tax income, because the rest of the 57% is supposed to take care of your taxes, meaning the earned income taxes, federal and state put together, and apart from that, your living expenses, your car, other, whatever the living expenses, and any commitments that you might have. So this is what is top line. And when you look at Zillow, Redfin, and anything, most of these public facing portals or real estate websites, they will give you the top line number. Now, let's get to bottom line thinking. Now, when I help my clients design their home ownership, I go with the bottom line thinking approach. And you can access my thinking and calculators based off of that on myhouser.com. So, what is bottom line thinking? Bottom line thinking helps you understand that of the mortgage payment, say you have $8,500 of mortgage payment. Out of that, $2,000 is interest for the first month. And hold that in your head until you go forward in this video. So, $2,000 is the principal paid. How much is the real interest that you pay? $6,500. Next, you have property taxes. In California, we pay about 1.25% in property taxes. So, suppose you have $1 million home, your property taxes are going to be about $12,500, which is $1,000 monthly. Now, $1,000 monthly plus $6,500, that's your bottom line expense. Then you add HOA and insurance. So say HOA is $400, so $6,500 plus $1,000, $7,500 plus HOA, $7,900. And say insurance, another $100 or $200. So it's about $7,800 or $8,000. Whereas Zillow and Redfin is going to show the payment at $8,500 plus property taxes, $1,000 plus HOA, $500 or $400, and insurance. And at a lot of times, please go and check their insurance numbers. I have seen them put insurance numbers at 1% to 2% per year. I hope it never comes true. But today the insurance numbers are not in the 1%. For single family homes, we are paying about $1,200 or so for a $2.5 million property here in the Bay Area. For townhouses and condominiums, which are like between $1 million to about $2 million, we are paying about $500 per year in insurance. So insurance is not really that costly. But when you look at these ready-made calculators, they just blow these numbers up. And when they blow these numbers up, what happens to you? You just think that, oh, it's impossible to buy a home. You start blaming affordability and you start thinking that you cannot afford to buy a home. Whereas bottom line thinking is extremely different. The first thing is that principal that you're seeing goes back into your back pocket because next month you don't pay interest on it. Additionally, that principal is forced saving, reducing your mortgage balance. Now, I do not call that as equity. That's not my model because that's your cash. You're taking it from your active bank account and putting it against the mortgage. Yes, it is reducing the liability and increasing the asset, which is goes as equity in the books. But it's actually your money going out after you earned. It does not leave you with much money. And in this entire process, I have not talked about tax breaks that you can get out of this. So with $1 million purchase at 6% interest rate, the interest that you're going to pay is $60,000 per year, which is $5,000 a month. Actually, interest only on up to $750K is tax deductible at this point in time. We will see if the various governments are going to work in favor or against that, but currently only up to $750K is tax deductible. You know what that does? $56,000, 6% interest rate for $750,000 of the principal that you borrowed. That amount turns out to be $43,000. $43,000 is tax deductible. And the SALT deduction cap has now been raised to $40,000 from the previous $10,000. So that allows property tax deduction up to $40,000. Now, the reason why I'm bringing the $40,000 up here in the Bay Area is because our home values are typically in the $2, $3, and $4 million. And for a $3 million property at 1.25, the property tax is about $37,000, $38,000. So $37,000 of that property tax for a $3 million property, and the first $43,000 of interest that you pay, these two put together, you can literally subtract $80,000 from your income. Imagine a person who is in the 37 to 39% tax bracket is typically in the 12 to 13% state tax. So 37% federal, 13% state. How much does that become? It becomes 50%. 37 federal plus 13 state, 50%. So out of these $80,000 that you are paying towards interest and property taxes, that 50% comes back to you. 40,000 maximum is the tax benefit that is coming to you. Show me anywhere on these portals that it shows you and helps you calculate these. Whereas most savvy buyers are going to go and dig into these numbers and bring that back. So now, we did not calculate the $2,000 per month of principal, that too for the first month. And we did not calculate $3,600 per month of tax savings for a $3 million property. Now, $3,600 plus $2,000, $5,000 is deducted from the $8,000 or $10,000, whatever that payment from that you're making. That deduction becomes a $60,000 or $70,000 deduction in the first year itself. Additionally, remember, nobody wants to talk about it when they are buying the home, but appreciation is taken for granted, and that is why we buy a property. And I will talk about appreciation in my next episode, because appreciation is like investing in a good stock. If you invest in good stock, you're going to get good dividend, good income, and that's how it works out. What will happen in that case is, we'll talk about appreciation, so let's set that aside. So now, if you expect, say, even 4.5%, which is the national average appreciation, Bay Area, that's way higher. So we are not going to talk about Bay Area. We'll just make it 5% for now and leave it there. So a $3 million property with 5% appreciation, it becomes $150,000 plus what you saved on the other side as principal paid and the $40,000 tax break. So 150 of appreciation, 40,000 in tax breaks, and 24,000 in forced savings. So you're looking at $220,000 for a $3 million property here in the Bay Area with conservative numbers. And I asked you to hold on to the interest paid in the first month, $6,500, at the beginning of this video. Let's talk about that. How much interest do you pay on the last installment when you're done paying your mortgage? You pay zero. So now, what is the average of the interest that you pay? $6,500 to begin with and $0 at the end. What is the average interest that you paid each month? $3,250. So over the life of the loan, you're not paying the full interest, $6,500. You're paying $3,250 only on an average. And who lost their value of money in inflation? It's the lender. So if the inflation is 3% per year, the lender is losing 3% of their value as inflation, cost of inflation. So you're paying only for that. So the 60,000 or whatever interest you paid per year, half of it was paid to you by taxes, at least for the first 750K. The rest of the interest was probably paid by the lender because they are paying for the inflation. You have the money, your money is not getting bitten by inflation, your money is working for you at better than inflation rates, and so you're not paying for that inflation. So now let's come back. Now let's think like an owner rather than trying to think like a buyer. When you are an owner, you are capturing tax breaks, you're capturing inflation related gains, you're capturing forcing down payment, you're forcing additional savings, and you're taking the appreciation home. With all of these things, ownership makes sense. Now, the top line thinker though just looks at this total number, mortgage, which is principal plus interest, property taxes, insurance, and HOA, and says, can I buy, can I not? And they just stop there. So they're right in their way that they're thinking about their affordability, and they keep padding the number of risky scenarios. What they do is, the risky scenarios, oh, if I don't have one job, if both of us lose our jobs, if I get into an accident, all of those, and they keep cutting down their budget. And they say, okay, this is all I can afford, and they don't buy. Whereas the bottom line thinker is putting all of these into consideration while considering the risk factor in a more rational way, and this is the buyer owner who is taking off with wealth building, whereas this buyer is just sitting there being conservative. So guess who will be the winner? If you think you like this video, please share, subscribe, and like. Thanks for watching. See you on my next one.